On today's episode of The Truth About Beer and...
I looked over at my wife, and she'll confirm this. I said, honey, she said, what? And I said, see that lady right there? She's a hybrid. She's an alien.
Viewer listener discretion is advised. The majority of the content of this program is not fact-checked, and it is highly advised that it not be used for teaching your children from said content, other than making an example out of the hosts of what they should not grow up to be. Remember this, it's the beer talking.
Welcome to The Truth About Beer and...
Hey, sit back.
Crack open your favorite brew and pour it into a frosty mug.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode.
Yes, thank you. I'm Keith Davidson.
And I'm Papa Joey Stay.
And we're your hosts for The Truth About Beer and...
Yeah, we're a podcast and YouTube channel where we get to talk about all the crap that we're interested in.
Best of all, you get to do it while sharing a brew amongst friends. Hey, and if you're a returning listener or YouTube watcher, thank you so much for coming back.
Yes, thank you. But if you're a first-timer, well, thanks again.
Yep.
Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And don't forget, on the bottom of the YouTube page, there's that little notification bell. Make sure you click on it, because what that'll do for you is our new episodes.
Yeah, you'll get an alert every time we release a new one.
That way you won't miss out on it like today's episode.
Yeah, and we're really excited about today's episode.
Yes, we are. We hope you enjoy it.
Yes, we do.
Everybody, cheers.
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 Well,
That's very good, man.
wow, cool.
It
I haven't
almost
tried it
tastes
yet.
like Guinness.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's like a coffee taste.
Okay.
Have you tried it?
Not yet.
No, we're gonna start
waiting.
now.
I'm sorry. Cut. Redo.
So we can. So it's usually like, well, here we are,
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah. Here we are.
episode 207,
Truth About Beer.
and we're going back
Roswell. Then and now.
then and now. So it's kind of a UFOs 1.2
Yep.
with our special guest, Mr. Tim Rice.
Back
Guys,
again.
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for
Glad to
coming
be
back.
So how you been?
Man, on top of the world.
How you dealing with the coronavirus?
I'm not worried about it at all.
Nah, me neither.
No, we're
When the
keeping our
temperature
distance
hits
here.
80 degrees, it's all going to die, and we're
Yeah.
all going to be all right.
We got social distancing going on
We got
here.
social distancing.
I think you and I are closer than 6 feet, but we should be okay.
Yeah, we should have a
Glass.
medical.
Did you wash your hands before we started this?
I always wash my hands.
Okay.
20
We're
times a
good.
day.
We're good.
We're
You
not
just said
looking-
wash your hands. That's all that matters, right?
My point exactly.
And he
If
said
it's,
that on
if
the.
it's that simple, then why the hell is it spreading?
It said that on the DMV signs coming over here today. Wash your hands.
Yeah, yeah. It's all over the place.
Yeah, well, it's good advice.
It is good advice. Shame on you if you're not doing it.
I think if everyone just used their hands instead of toilet paper, we'd be washing our hands all the time.
You could use beer to wash your hands too.
Sure, it's got alcohol.
So, but what are we drinking today here?
Starship IPA by New Belgium.
New Belgium. Yeah.
Where's it
New
from?
Belgium.
Fort Collins, I do believe.
Really?
I like that because I didn't have time to investigate it.
Yeah, we've done several New Belgium.
That's a pretty cool looking can. I like the way it says Voodoo Ranger on the side.
Good stuff.
Bad.
That's bad.
Well, I haven't tried
good.
this yet, but
Try it.
I like their beer.
It's almost like kind of a coffee taste.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
It's a Guinness without the fizz.
I didn't see what the ABV was on it, though.
ABV. I don't know. What that
Oh,
is.
7.7.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
That's,
Yeah. No, we like the heavy stuff.
yeah, that's good.
I was looking for ABU, but
No, I
that's
didn't see it on there. It's probably on the box, but
probably.
we didn't
But
see
yeah,
it.
I did see the 7.7
Yeah.
for the ABV.
It's not bad.
Which,
We've had a couple like that.
have two of these, we should be
should be good
just
to go.
fine.
Thanks, you guys.
So yeah, we did a Joey and I took a little road trip here not too long ago.
Where did you go?
We went to New Mexico. Went to Deming. We did a investigation there. Which
Which is another future episode.
I was gonna say we won't give that away.
Okay,
But then in the same day, we took a 4-hour trip and went to Roswell,
fantastic.
We did.
One of my favorite places.
which is why we're doing this episode.
All right, cool.
Because I was fascinated by it. I think you were too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got probed by an alien.
Did you bring home anything?
Pictures.
Pictures, yeah. Got it.
That was our souvenir.
We want to remember it
That
forever.
wasn't appropriate.
So, hey, you never know. But you know,
So what do you think about the museum?
I was unfortunately sorry. I didn't mean to step on you.
No, you didn't. I just wish we could have spent more time.
I was just going to say that because we were kind of we're short for time because we had to get back to Deming, which is 4 hours away.
So did you see the museum?
we did.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of like what was it? National Lampoon's Vacation when they show that scene where they're going through the museum and
yeah.
it's sped up. They're just going. That's kind of how we were.
Oh, really?
going
Yeah, you
through
had
it,
to
yeah.
do a quick tour. Like
Yeah.
read, run.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would have liked to have read a lot more.
yeah.
It was kind of. I took
got
lots of
caught up
pictures though.
at
So
the fake autopsy or the fake alien, and I got caught up at the they said the dummy they sent out of the airplanes. They said they were like parachuting. Remember the guy in the
Yeah,
space?
yeah.
I got caught up at those two places, and then while I was there, I talked to Stanton Friedman, which is
he was there.
he's no longer with us.
No.
Yeah.
I talked to him and told him, who I was and about the story, and we talked for about 30 minutes until my wife said, "We're leaving." I could have talked to him for hours.
Yeah.
That was pretty incredible, and I don't remember the rest of the museum because of him.
Oh wow.
That was the only
That would
two
have been
things
the
I
highlight
remember
for
because
me,
Once
yeah.
I found him, I was done.
Yeah, it was pretty. The day we went through was pretty empty.
Was it kind of generic to you, or?
Not at all, because my issue was I knew nothing about New Mexico. When I think of New Mexico, I think of Roswell, and I think of what you see on TV and what you hear. I knew nothing else about
There's
New
really
Mexico.
nothing about New Mexico anymore.
But there is.
Yeah, there is.
More than I suspected.
Right. But we're not taught about New Mexico we have Texas history if you live in Texas, and you have American history.
Right.
But there's not a whole lot about New Mexico unless you get into the Wild West, like Billy the Kid and Bat Masterson and stuff like that. But true stories of New Mexico are really, really, really hidden.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know.
I'm glad you got to go to Deming. That's amazing.
Yeah, Deming was cool. That was
Lincoln
fun.
is one of my favorite places, but I love Deming.
Yeah, I think for me, in doing the investigation for the actual episode here, is I didn't realize, and actually going to the museum, how much the military had a foothold in New Mexico and how much it was part of our history. Because, you know, you go back, and they were telling us at the visitor center that at the Air Force base over there, that was actually the home of the Enola Gay, which was the plane that
which I've been on.
dropped the first 2 bombs.
Oh, wow.
You were on it?
Yes, I've been on the Cinema Journey and the Enola Gay. And you're right, that's something that, I mean, there's so much about New Mexico that people just don't know. I don't know that it's hidden, it's just, we're not aware of it. I don't know why it's been swept under the rug or put aside, but...
Because of Roswell.
Because of Roswell.
But you think it's
Swept under the rug
Oh,
because
okay.
of that.
Yeah, I think
I
the
think
attention's been drawn away from New Mexico for that reason, because they don't want anyone to focus in too much on Roswell. And that's happened since the day it happened.
Because from the beginning, New Mexico was more for agriculture. That's what it started out as.
1800s?
Yeah. So I actually have the date right here. It was actually founded in 1871 by Van C. Smith.
Right.
And it was named after his father. Roswell was his father. In 1890, a major aquifer was discovered by Nathan Jaffa. I hope I'm saying that right. And then in 1893, they brought the railroad into town.
Go west, young child. That's where it happened, because Texas was already settled, and they had no corridor to the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And I think it was 66.
Yeah, Route 66 goes through there.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was the Transcontinental Railroad.
And that
so
was
on
the
its
first
way to Salt Lake, where they connected.
That's where the Mormons broke down and built their legacy. But the Pony Express was very, very, very popular through New Mexico, but it was very, very volatile because of Indian intervention, and they didn't like people coming through that land. And the outlaws are the ones that kept coming through there because they knew that they wouldn't be followed. Mm-hmm. And so that corridor was basically because of the outlaws, people escaping, and it then became popular after they signed treaties with the Indians. Otherwise, New Mexico wouldn't have happened, or would have been late happening.
Right. Well, I think, again, in doing the research I did, if it really wasn't for the military, it may not have ever taken off.
No.
You know, honestly, because it was in the 1930s, Charles Lindbergh and Harry Guggenheim made Roswell the site for Dr. Goddard's rocket experiments.
Yes.
Which later helped the U.S. in space exploration.
Yes.
So we're not talking about weapon.
No,
rockets.
we're talking about
propulsion.
Yeah.
We're talking about atomic bomb. We're talking about experiment. We're talking about the basis of the space industry.
Right.
That happened there because it was so isolated and nobody went through there. It had a bad reputation at one point. Everyone stayed away from it. That's why the military took advantage of it.
Why did it have a bad reputation, I wonder?
Because there were more Indian encounters. There was more death. I mean, people in covered wagons and doing the trail.
They'd be hijacked.
Were being killed and ambushed there. And so it was like a no man's land. You know, you're good up until Texas, but once you're from Texas, if you want to go to California, you have to go through there. You're on your own, and it was a very, very violent territory.
So did they go up through Utah and then Nevada and then over to California at that point?
They had to, because they were scared away from that route.
Right.
And that's the way the Mormons took, and they call that it's
the Mormon Trail, but
the Mormon Trail. That. And but the trail. There's many trails that go west, and some were famous and some were not. Some were discouraged from going. Some were like, yeah, go this way, it's a better way. But the one through New Mexico was very volatile, very dangerous. And that's why the military decided to go there, because it was like a place where nobody wanted to go, and they thought they could isolate themselves there.
Right.
And the salt beds and the sand beds had a lot to do with it.
That was very cool when we went through White Sands.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, that was incredible.
That's a huge valley.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, Tim's right. There's, other than the missile silos and everything, there's really nothing else there. I mean, what's there?
The radio antennas.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a no man's land. I mean, you think West Texas is desolate, nothing compared to New Mexico.
Right.
I mean, you can drive. A guy once told me if you stand in New Mexico where it's flat, you could look north and see the back of your head. And he also told me they had a tractor and they turned on a tractor and let it go by itself, and it went 17 miles before it hit a telephone pole. It's just that flat.
That's crazy.
It's no man's land.
Yeah, and you see it as you're driving through.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you fall asleep through that state.
Till you hit the mountains.
Oh, yeah. You're
Then that
asleep
wakes
till
you
you're
right
at the
up.
mountains, but until then, you're slapping your face and rolling down the window. It's just incredible. And Carlsbad Caverns, oh my God, that's just incredible place.
I've heard
but
that.
there's a lot of really cool places in New Mexico that people just aren't aware of. And I think they keep it suppressed because they don't want the attention drawn so much to Roswell. I think that happened more then than it is now. But at the time, they were steering people away from New Mexico more than any other state.
So I'm curious. Joey and I have had our theory on Roswell. I'm curious about your theory. So why Roswell?
Roswell, I believe, and I've talked to many people, was an accident. The ship that went down there was, the reason that the ships were attracted to that area is because of the atomic bomb testing and everything we were doing. And that gained the attention of other entities or other worlds, other aliens. And they noticed this happening, just like, you know how we noticed there's a frequency coming from over there and our SETI picks it up.
Right.
And they look at it. I believe that they gathered the information because of the atomic bomb test. It registered on their radar. And basically they came to explore and investigate and weren't used to our atmosphere. The ship went down, and we reverse engineered everything from that. I mean, that's when technology started. Other than, the flood, the world's been destroyed many, many times, and technology's been hidden. But 1947 was our reintroduction to technology. That's what I believe. Because without that, we wouldn't have Kevlar vests, we wouldn't have night vision, we wouldn't have microwaves, we wouldn't have fiber optics, we wouldn't have transistors, we wouldn't have nanotechnology, which they held on to for a long, long time. And there's still technology that they're not going to release for many, many, many years. I mean, like Bob Lazar.
Right.
He was one of the scientists that reverse engineered this ship, and he came forth as a whistleblower about element 115, and everybody thought he was crazy for many, 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 many years, up until 2013. They finally, and I hope, wherever you are, Bob, I hope, I hope you're vindicated.
I saw a little thing on Bob's business, and they were interviewing one of his employees, and he makes, like, I believe it's like jewelry and stuff like that out of the sand that has been melted by
the atomic bomb.
the atomic bomb stuff,
okay.
and it's called
Idiom.
I got to look it up.
Something idiom.
Well, he uses the name Trinity in it.
Trinity.
Trinity glass, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
that's
green.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is true. There are places around the world where people will go and dig up sand where lightning has hit the beach and turned glass. It's the same concept. The nuclear explosion turned a lot of the area, made some really weird things underneath the ground, and but 115 came from that ship. I honestly believe.
So I read this thing on Trinity because we did our atomic bomb episode. And I was pretty fascinated with it. So they open up the site, the actual Trinity site, twice a year for visitors to come see. And they say when you walk the perimeter, you can still find the glass. There's still glass out there from it. So that would be, I don't know if they let you take it, but that'd be kind of cool.
There's also some magnetic anomaly as well. Compasses and stuff like that don't work. It's kind of weird.
So I'm going to ask you the question that we asked ourselves during that episode, the atomic bomb episode. So did we get the technology from them?
The aliens?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For the atomic bomb?
Okay.
Ooh,
this goes back to Germany
Yes.
and Dr. Okay. I believe that the Germans had alien intervention and technology way before we did, or not way before we did, but before the atomic bomb. I believe that information was stolen from Germany. We messed around with it and attracted the aliens because of what we were doing, which we weren't supposed to be doing. And I believe they intervened because they were trying to stop us at what we were doing. But I believe Germany came up with it first.
They did. Germany was the first to split the atom. And so that's where my question comes in. Was it really by accident that we split the atom, or did we have that intervention from them?
I think it was the forces of evil and an accident.
Well, I know we got the technology because they didn't want it to fall in Hitler's hands.
Right.
That was the big
But we stole information from Hitler. And what was that doctor that came over and
Oppenheimer.
When he came over, he gave us a lot of information that we hadn't had yet. I mean, that's why we went to the moon, because of that man. And he didn't find that on a cereal box.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I believe they gave us that information, but I don't think we were prepared for the information that they gave us. I think we stole it and misused it, and it attracted them to come say, stop.
Yeah, so it wasn't given to the human race as a weapon.
It was discovered. No, right. And that's why they intervened when we were doing the atomic bomb blast.
Right.
That attracted many different species of aliens going, hey, hold on. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, and that's a good point to bring up too, because initially the Germans weren't testing it as a weapon. They were testing it for propulsion. They were using it for propulsion. Later, we got the word that they were potentially making a weapon out of it. Because that's what freaked us out, I think, because we were in the midst of the war.
You're right.
And
that wasn't their intention, but it ended up turning out that way because of Hitler.
So then your theory, Joey, on that last podcast is correct then. So they are just trying to protect us from ourselves, possibly.
Well, I mean that's the theory that makes me feel better.
No. Tell us what you really feel.
The theory that no, they're stopping us from destroying the planet ourselves. Because they want the planet for themselves.
Right.
No, that's a different story.
Okay, all right. I'll tell you what I believe. I believe that the Earth is millions of years old, but I think that they discovered gold on this planet, and that's a commodity in space. And they bred the Neanderthal with the alien to create slaves to mine gold, and they ended up rebelling, and everything went crazy. And then the Earth was destroyed, and it's been destroyed many, many times. I don't know if anybody believes that, but we're starting to find evidence of things that were like, they found like a 4 million old hammer or a device.
I heard about that somewhere, yeah.
So I believe that God is just, all right, I don't want to get into God, religion, but I believe that the Earth has been
reset,
re-sanctified, cleansed.
Yeah.
In order to start because they got way too out of control. And just like the atomic bomb, we got way too out of control. I believe they intervened for that reason and saying, hey, stop. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to destroy yourselves. They gave us the technology, I believe, to the Germans. And it kind of got like, you know, it kind of got like stolen and misinterpreted. Mm-hmm. And then we abused it.
Well, yeah, it seems like anytime we get any kind of technology, there's always some facet of government or that wants to see what can we make out of this. We'll kill people.
Exactly. You know. So the analogy is, I don't know if you're going to get this, is the same company that makes the radar gun for the police make the passport radar detectors. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they give us technology to use, but they also give us technology to counteract it.
Right.
Because we don't want to destroy ourselves. And they give that to, they allow us to have that through different parts of the world. I mean, because if you go into the Sumerians, oh my gosh. If you look at the astronauts coming off the Apollo, they're all holding little bags. If you look at the Akhenaten or
Anunnaki,
and they're all holding little bags. I mean, this is not new. This has happened many, many, many times throughout history in every country, Asia, Europe, India, everywhere it's happened. That they have writings and murals and stuff of this stuff.
It's
so
crazy.
We've had to destroy the world many times because we got too advanced and we got cocky.
So, and forgive me for sounding naive to this, but the Egyptians, you always hear the correlation between Egyptians and aliens. Uh-huh. So is that, I've heard a lot of times from people who talk about UFOs and aliens and people who follow this stuff, they say they walk among us.
Yes, they do.
Do you believe that?
I do believe that. I believe it's happened many, many times, but our particular time on this planet, I think, started with Akhenaten when he declared there was no many gods, there was monolithic, it was one God, and he changed the world. It was the sun god. And I think many years we've misinterpreted what we believe, and God's had to destroy the earth many times because we've gone crazy. And I think we're going crazy now, so. But it's been destroyed by fire, flood, water, and so, but we're starting to discover things that are many, many, many millions of years old that are giving us reason to believe that man gets technology, he gets crazy with it, and it has to be destroyed because it gets out of hand. I honestly believe that.
I want to back up for a second, though, because I've been holding off on this every episode that we do.
Oh, that should be good.
And I don't know if you want to save this for another episode or not, but can we talk about the hybrids?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you want to save that?
Anunnakis?
Or do you want to save that for another episode?
Well, let's see what we got left. I know.
That's a fantastic topic, and I got lots of information on that.
I know.
That's what I say. Could it be a whole
could it be a
other
whole
episode?
We can get into it, and then tease it for our next episode.
Can we tease it just a little bit? Because I have no idea anything about the
What do you
Anunnaki.
believe about hybrids?
I know nothing about them. That's what I'm saying. That's why I've been, every time I always want to go, I want to learn a little bit more about this, but I know we want to do an episode about it, so
Hybrids,
I don't want to.
Hybrids are incredible. They are put here to help us because it's complicated. All right, so
Dramatically?
I'm going to tell you a true story, all right?
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a true story. My daughter Morgan, we were in the hospital seeing the OB/GYN, the pregnancy doctor before she was born. And we're sitting in the room, and my wife is sitting next to me, and we walk in and we sit down, and there was a lady sitting just across over here. And I looked over at her, and my body froze. I looked at her, her skin, everything was perfect. And I'm like, it freaked me out so bad. I'm like, wow. And so all of a sudden, she started communicating with me. Don't worry, you're right. There's no reason to fear. And I talked back to her. And she calmed me. And so after I realized what I was dealing with, I looked over at my wife, and she'll confirm this. I said, honey, she said, what? And I said, see that lady right there? She's a hybrid. She's an alien. And she goes, what the hell are you talking about? Get out of it. I'm like, no, I'm serious. She just talked to me. She confirmed that everything was good. She's here serving her purpose on earth. And the more I looked at her, the more I realized she was not full human.
Now, are you saying telepathically you talked to her? Or
She talked to me telepathically. There were no words spoken.
Okay.
It's all of a sudden I'm sitting there and she's like, there's no reason to fear me.
Now, did you hear that subconsciously, or was it a feeling? Was it
Right
something
through
you
my
actually
brain.
heard? Really?
Right through my brain. It was just thought that came right to me. And I thought I was crazy. And then I was freaking out for a minute, and I'm like looking at the floor. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I looked back up at her, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool with this. I'm not afraid of you. And then she communicated back. And she let me know her purpose there. That's what they're here to do. They're here to protect the world. They're here to monitor. They're here to make sure shit goes right.
Right.
And Allison looked over at her, and then she looked back over at me, and she goes, let's get out of here. I'm like, there's no reason to be afraid. She goes, no, I'm leaving now. And Allison got up and walked out of the room because I drew her attention to something that was so, if I hadn't told her, she probably wouldn't have noticed.
Right.
This is definitely a hybrid. It was total hybrid. Hybrids are all damn near perfect, but they have to create flaws in them so that they don't stand out. But yeah, hybrids are everywhere. Remember when I talked about when you were a little kid and you saw a child in a milk carton every day?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yep. Way back in the day when the Greys came down and interacted, and then the crash at Roswell, we saved the alien on that ship, and we formed an alliance, and they said, hey, no more abductions. Then they went to cattle. They did. They cooperated. No more. I'm not saying that those don't happen now, because I believe they still do. In fact, I've got friends that have been abducted in that, but it's not on the level that it used to be, because they're kind of like, they're limited on what they can do. They're still not allowed to do it, but they still do it, like Travis Walton.
Right.
So I believe what they did back in those days when we saw children on milk cartons, I believe they came down here, they abducted children, and we were a lab, and they experimented on us, and they brought us back down here as hybrids to gain information, to learn.
So do they know they're hybrids?
I don't think so, but
They must have some abilities that a
they
normal person
do.
wouldn't have.
I don't know that there's an answer to that question. I don't think anybody can prove it. I would like to think they do, because they're here for a purpose, and they know their purpose here, and they're doing a mission. If they're not, then they're confused, and that brings me to Heaven's Gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because right after the internet started taking off, Heaven's Gate got together, and what was his name?
I just saw
The
this
gentleman
story.
in San Diego.
Yeah. Can't remember what
He,
his name was.
for some reason, so this is what I believe. The hybrids were put here as an experiment, to observe, to learn, and everything. And when they were ready to go back after they were done with them, they brought them all to San Diego. to take them back. This is during Hellbot. Do you remember Hellbot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There are people that I've talked to that believe they came back. Oh, what was his name? And
I know.
these these were an experimental, like Star Trek. They were sitting down to investigate and everything, and I don't believe they knew what they were doing until they were all called together to return to be dissected and learn from the information. You know what I'm saying?
Debriefed.
Debriefed. Because it was very, very interesting of how they were taken back.
Marshall Applewhite.
Yeah.
Yes.
Applewhite.
Okay. Now listen. Do you know the story?
I watched a podcast on the story, and they all committed suicide, thinking that
With
they were going to be
a chemical that has not been identified.
Right.
They are all castrated. They all had 50 cents in their pocket. They all had brand new tennis shoes on, which means nothing to me. I mean, there is a reason, but those people were brought together from all over the United States, did not know each other until the internet came about. And they all were summoned to San Diego for Applewhite or Applegate?
Applewhite.
All right.
Applewhite.
And they all died of a mysterious substance. But I believe they were coming back to get the entity out of the hybrids that they had, to take them back to debrief them. So you got a better idea about why they were castrated, why they had 50 cents in their pocket, why they had new tennis shoes, and why none of them knew each other?
I don't remember reading about it, but were all the bodies found, or were the bodies gone?
Oh, all the bodies
No,
were
they
found.
were all-
Yeah, they walked in. They were all laying.
Mm-hmm.
They were all dead. They were all on bunk beds.
And had
They all had
those blanket things over on their,
Yeah.
or whatever, ponchos they looked
right,
like.
right.
Yeah.
And they all had the same tennis shoes on. They all had 50 cents in their pocket. That's so that when they were called from Idaho or Montana or wherever they were, they could get back to San Diego, and they couldn't be stopped as a transient or as a homeless person because they had money on them.
Interesting.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but So yeah. There are hybrids. I totally know there are hybrids, and you can Google. Not that Google's a source of truth, but
In Google we trust.
yeah, because my daughter and my kids like, yeah, Dad, it's true. Google it. I'm like, you can only go so far with that. Wikipedia is what anybody just happens to think and
edit
writes
it
it down.
themselves.
It's not true.
Right.
Anybody can edit it, right?
But
What are we Googling? Hybrids?
Hybrids?
oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
That just brings up cars.
Oh no, hybrid aliens. Pictures of hybrid aliens. How many species of hybrid aliens? There are many, many different species. I can blow your mind if you Google how many alien bases are on the Earth. There will give you a list of all the alien bases on the Earth, which are here in Arizona and Tucson and Flagstaff. So you can take that as, tongue in cheek and wow, it's crazy, but they're slowly introducing this to us so that when they do land on the White House lawn, we're not going to go into panic.
Right.
I honestly believe that. But yes, hybrids are here as researchers, as scientists, as like Lewis and Clark. They're discovering, they're investigating. And many different species of aliens have hybrids on the Earth to check us out.
We'll have to look at some of these pictures that I'm actually pulling up, but some of them, they just look like artificial intelligence is all they look like. I mean, like you said, they're perfect. Their skin's perfect.
They're perfect. And this lady I saw had no makeup on, but
She was beautiful, right?
She was beautiful. I mean, I got 6 kids. I got 3 girls and a wife, and I see their makeup all the time. I know how women look in makeup. I was a flight attendant for 27 years. I've seen women in their makeup.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful, very, very bad. I've been in Las Vegas a lot. I've seen good makeup. I've seen bad makeup.
Right.
I'm a photographer. I've done makeup for like glamour shots and stuff like that. I've seen makeup. This woman was not wearing makeup, and she was absolutely beautiful, down to the tint and the color of her face. And it just freaked me out so bad. So if you want to, go Google alien hybrids. There are many different versions, but the closest humanoids are actually beautiful. And some of them are given flaws to fit in.
Right.
The ones that aren't given flaws will never interact with us.
Sounds like another episode to me.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. I'm thinking we could do a whole
101.
episode on that. Anunnaki.
Anunnaki. Absolutely. Sumerians.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole chapter there that people just avoid, just don't want to know about.
Right.
Because it would change life as we know it. It would change their belief as we know it.
Well,
and they're not ready for that.
And I can understand that because, if you are a God-believing person, you believe that God created all, know, so.
And that's what happened to the Egyptians. Akhenaten,
right.
They came down from Sirius B, the second moon on Sirius. Akhenaten came down. He gave this information to us, and he made the world change. Because before that, the trees were God, the earth was God, the water was God, the sky was God. He changed all that down to one monolithic God, and they called it the sun disk. So people interpreted it as a sun, but that's not what it was. It was like one creator, and it changed history.
And I think you see that in Egyptian art, don't you?
Yes, everywhere.
A lot.
Yes.
Sun.
The rays are coming down. The ankhs, those are very important. You see the ankhs, everybody's wearing the ankhs. Well, we'll get in, that's another episode. But that changed global religion. The Akhenatans did, the Egyptians did. I mean, it's fascinating. And I believe the Hall of Records, which is in many different places, but I do believe there is a Hall of Records in Egypt. But we will discover that when we're ready to discover that. Will enlighten us to all that information. We're not ready for it yet.
Another episode.
Tutankhamun, Isis, what's her name? Nefertiti? No. All of those people were hybrids. Akhenaten came down as the original alien and mated with humans on Earth. And Nefertiti, what's her name? I'm so sorry. They had children, and that started a whole new offspring of a generation of people. And the belief, not only did the people change through genetically DNA modification, our religion, our beliefs changed.
Right.
Everything changed from there. I mean, go study it. It's incredible. It's totally incredible.
So what do you think about, what was it, 12,800 years ago when the comet took out, or stopped there, when the Ice Age came to end?
I don't believe we know. I believe every time a scientist tells you 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 8,000 years ago, I don't believe they know what they're talking about. They can carbon date, and they base everything on carbon dating, which I don't believe is an exact science. Nobody's proven it to be an exact science, because for many, 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 many years, up until the 2000s, they said the pyramids were only 4,000 years old.
Right.
They're much, much, much older than that, and it's much. And I don't believe they were built by any human being.
Right.
So I think we've been told stories to appease us, to get us comfortable, to try and understand, but there's so much more to it than we can understand. And the less, every generation, the less we know, the better. But the more we're discovering, the more we're learning. And we're learning the pyramids, the Sphinx is much, 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 much older than the pyramids. We're getting off Roswell, aren't we?
No, you're good. You're good.
But Roswell was an accident. Roswell was an accident. I believe that we learn a lot from Cece, the surviving alien that did survive that crash. Should I tell that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go through that. Yeah.
So when their spaceship did crash, there were 5 bodies. There was 1 survivor. In fact, the coroner ordered all these caskets. He ordered 5
Child-sized caskets, weren't they?
Right. They were all like 3-4 feet long. But there was actually 1 survivor. And the survivor, her name was, I believe, Cece. It's the code name given to her. She was very injured. We helped her contact her species so that they could come help and rescue her. In that wild interaction, we became allies with her species.
Which were the Greys?
No,
they
not
weren't
the
the
Greys.
Greys.
The Greys are the outlaws. They're the mean guys. It was the Greens or the reptilians. That's when they said, all right, you found us out. This is what's going on. And they gave us information, and we're just like, hey, well, why are aliens abducting us? If you're come in peace, why are you abducting us? He goes, they're saying, that's not us. So we formed an alliance with them. They stopped the Greys from abducting people. That's when they went to cattle. Because it was going to be, MacArthur said, and you can see he was on the Jeep, he said the next World War would be an intergalactical war. Because he knew a lot more than a lot of people knew. So we formed an alliance with the reptilians, and I don't know their names. I used to. There's 156 species that we know.
Right.
There are many hundreds of thousands of species all throughout the universe, but in our solar system, we have identified 156 species of aliens, and they've given us this information. So the Greys were told to stop. You can no longer abduct people. You're done. We're allying with America or the United States or the world, Earth, and you're no longer allowed to do that. And we formed an alliance with them, and by doing that, they said, all right, we're going to give you technology to help you protect yourself and to help you grow and to help you learn. And we said, cool, we'll take it, as long as we formed an alliance and a treaty with them. Cece did not survive. They got here, but they got here too late, and she passed away. But because of Cece, we formed a relationship with them.
Okay, so Cece was a reptilian then.
She was an alien.
When you say reptilian,
I say green or reptilian. Like I said, I don't remember the exact word the guy told me. It was something I cannot remember. Basically a reptilian. You've got the ant people, you got the reptilians, you got the feather people, the Hopi, the feather people. Are
they the shapeshifters?
I don't know if they're the shapeshifters. There are shapeshifters that are on Earth that are disguised as humans, but sometimes
aren't those skinwalkers? Aren't the skinwalkers?
Skinwalkers are
they
shapeshifters.
screw up.
Yeah.
There's many different species.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of them screw up, and a lot of them revealed their identity, and by accident, and because of that, they have to take them. They have to abduct them because there were many thousands of missing people back in the 60s and 70s. Many thousands. Now, if there's one, there's an amber alert. You know what I'm saying? So, but we formed a treaty, we formed an alliance, we formed a pact and said, hey, we will help protect you from the Greys and the other species of aliens, and let's work together. And that's what we have done since 1947. And that's why we have nanotechnology. That's why we have what we have now. Now, we can't get cocky with it. They've told us we have to wait years before we can reveal the technology that we have right now. We have technology now that cannot be revealed for 20 years.
But that's not to say it's not being used. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're not ready for it. So it could be secretly used, like the HR, the triangle,
Yeah.
143. We have propulsion ships that we operate that are not alien anymore. We now own them and operate them. but we cannot reveal that information. Do you remember when the Stealth 117 was made 20 years ago? Mm-hmm. And they hid it for like, 12 years or so many years? And they used Area 51 to do that.
Right.
And back to Roswell, this all comes down to Roswell. This is where we learn technology from aliens, because of Roswell. And then that's why Area 51 exists. But there's actually Area 52, there's 52A, there's 52C. They're underground systems. There's a whole underground network that hide this information from us. Because and I probably wasn't supposed to tell you that.
Because we're not ready for it.
You know that, right? I mean, have you heard that?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm not spilling the beans.
No.
We're not ready for it. And we will
Area 52's in Dugway Proving Grounds.
It's just south of 51. Or
it's in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North of 51. And that's where a lot of stuff happened, because all the attention that Area 51 got, they had to divert the attention and start Area 52 because they were being found out. There was too many questions, too many people asking questions. So they secretly moved all that operation to Area 52.
I know George Knapp had a whole special on Area 51, didn't he? Because didn't he spend a lot of time out there filming, and he got in trouble a couple of times for getting too close.
Area 51 is now just a tourist attraction.
Right.
The real shit happens at Area 52 and other places now. But at the time, Area 51 is all we had.
You know, we were watching Project Blue Book, and I found that Apache Junction is Area 51.
I wouldn't doubt it. I've seen some freaking aliens over
No,
there.
have you watched that? The History Channel.
Have you seen that Project Blue Book on a History Channel?
I can't watch it. It's all just...
Yeah, the Jeep was driving away, and there were the Superstition Mountains right there. I thought,
It's 90210. It's all just reality TV. I hoped when I heard it come out, they were going to be legitimate and real, but they screwed it up with Hollywood.
Well, it's still based on events.
It's based on the exact...
Yeah, well, they have to make it entertaining.
They've diluted it. They've transitioned it. They've really screwed it up a lot.
Yeah. Well,
Which is still interesting. I mean, I watch it, but I know what's right and what's wrong as I'm watching it. Just like, so, you know, the movie Airplane that came out in 77 or whatever. So I was a flight attendant. So every time I watch Airplane and, you know, they're going through the cabin, they're doing all those things, I'm like, that's not right. But they portrayed it as being what they thought.
Right.
But when you really know, you can see the discrepancies. It's the same way. What was I talking about?
Project Blue Book.
Yeah, so I think it's been diluted. The basis is fact, but it's been played with and tweaked and Hollywood, and it's been just messed up.
What I found interesting is that Spielberg hired Dr. Hynek for Close Encounters to help him with that.
Spielberg is the reason that we are now more prepared for an alien encounter, because when we had this information, those people got together with Spielberg and says, look, we have to introduce this information to the public. We're going to let you know this much about it, and we want you to make a movie about it, just to play with the people, to get them used to it. That's how Close Encounters happened.
So is that how Dr. Hynek got involved with it? Because of Project Blue Book? Because
I don't know. I don't know. I believe it is, but I don't know.
That's interesting.
But it was introduced to Hollywood, so the Hollywood could spread it throughout the country, so that if it did happen, because the grays were so volatile, that we would be able to handle it. Because if a spaceship landed on the White House lawn 40, 30, 20, 15 years ago, it would have caused a panic.
Mass hysteria.
Now, if you hear it on Fox News tomorrow, nobody's going to be that surprised about it. So Spielberg was given the task of introducing us to this wild, crazy theory slowly.
Right.
Close Encounters, it wasn't until Fire in the Sky that the shit got real.
Yeah.
And after Fire in the Sky, they don't make movies about it anymore. Well, they did the
Fourth Kind was one.
They did the what was the crop, the field.
Oh, Signs.
Signs.
Yep.
And then they did the one with the girl where they had the big. So they started putting like a lot
Contact. Is that
of
what's called?
Hollywood in it. Contact.
Yeah.
They started putting a lot of fiction with it, but they included the realism so that we could become accustomed to it. So you can't say like Men in Black. You can't say, oh, that won't ever happen. Now we believe that could really happen. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you made Men in Black 30 years ago, people would have like lost their minds and go, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So we're having to be slowly introduced to this technology and this information because listen, if we knew that aliens existed and they were in charge, we would lose control of order as we know it. Mm-hmm. You would not listen to a police officer. You're not going to go and listen to a judge sentence you to 6 months in jail for a DUI because you're not in charge anymore. We know that.
Right.
And it would cause panic and chaos. So we have to keep this information secret. And when I first had my UFO encounter in 95, I was on a mission to expose this to everybody in the world until I learned what I've learned. Right. Now, I don't want people knowing. Not everybody knowing. Only people that it's a need to know thing. If you're interested in it and you believe it, we'll talk about it. But this is nothing that should be put on the news or anything. We're not the general public.
No, we can see what happens with just a pandemic.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
perfect
toilet
example.
paper.
Right.
The aliens told us to get toilet paper. What the hell was that all about? Toilet paper? I went to Mexico. And they're like, why are you crazy Americans buying up toilet paper? And then I saw an article like, Arizona's leading the state in sales on toilet paper. My point. Right. You tell people this, and you think toilet paper was a panic? It's going to get much worse.
So let's talk about the virus for a second, because it brings up an interesting point. Because we talk about, okay, every how many years the earth has to reset itself. God resets the earth. Is this what's happening now? Hold on. Before you go into that, we talked about from 1947 till now how technology has just exploded. We have things so much now that we didn't have before. You think this is nature's way or God's way of putting the brakes on it? Going, hold up a second. You guys are getting way too ahead. Because now, this is the conspiracy theorist foaming at the mouth here, but you have 5G coming out now that people are saying it's going to kill everybody. So have we gone too far and we have to be reset?
I don't think we've gone too far yet, but I think we're going too far. I think we're messing with like the super collider. We're trying to recreate the Big Bang. That is a mistake. Honestly, in Geneva, I believe that is a mistake. We're trying to be godlike. We're trying to discover.
Don't they call that the God particle or something?
The God particle. Yeah. We're trying, and if they ever do succeed on this, they've been doing it for 17 years. When they do this, it'll be world changing, and I believe that could happen. To your question, I think the Mayans had it right when they said 2012 the calendar the calendar was going to run out at that time. Right. They said that was the end of that age.
Right.
There was going to be a whole new different age starting. And I don't believe the Mayans thought the world was going to end on December 12th, 2012. But I do believe they knew that it was going to change at that point to a
enlightenment
and to man, there's so many. Think about it, man. Just since 2012, look where we've come. Not 47, just 2012.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean our phones alone
I know. These phones can operate. These phones.
We went
are
from
more
a flip
powerful.
phone that just made calls and you could text a little bit to, I mean, these frickin' computers. My phone's being used as a camera right now, where I could be looking things up. So I feel
These phones have more power than the 13 rooms of computers that sent the Apollo 13 to the moon. We're going to learn this as we need to learn it. I think there will be the evil scientists or whatever, the people that will abuse it. I don't believe that what's his name, the rocket scientist, German scientist that developed the B-2 rocket. Oh. Come on. After the war, we brought him over here and he restarted. That's why we're at the moon.
said his name earlier.
I don't believe that we're going to get the information before we need it, but I do believe that people have information already that they're keeping from us. And I think it will end up destroying us again. I do. I mean, and I'm not worried about it. I mean, we're that spot in time, you know?
Yeah.
So the reports of UFO sightings are been on the rise for a few
They're at
years
the
now.
highest they've ever been.
So do you attribute that to technology, or do you attribute that to the state of the world?
I think it's technology and our alliance with other species of aliens. And we've said, that's fine, you can come down here, just don't mess with anyone. And so they're doing more experiments and research. I do believe there are alien bases on the Earth that have storage ships and things that they mine gold here. There are things that this planet has that is very, very, very valuable in space. Okay? They're not in our realm solar system. There's nothing. Well, we're starting to find that there's things on like Titan's moon or a Titan. There are gases and there are commodities and there are minerals and things, and we're starting to discover that there are actually asteroids that if we crash into it, pull it off of it, there's things that we can use. Okay, so I believe that Earth was an experiment in the very, very beginning, and that the gold is what attracted the other people, because the gold is the most amazing element in the universe. More than titanium, more than silver, more than anything. Gold is the biggest conductor of electricity. Mm-hmm. It doesn't corrode. It has no lifespan. It's amazing. And so I think that is what brought the aliens, per se, to the Earth to interfere with the Earth that God created and God put man on.
Aren't the microchips that they use for the computers, aren't they gold? Don't they have gold on them?
Everything's gold. Everything's
Yeah.
gold. There's gold in your phone. There's gold everywhere.
Right.
It has to be. They can't use anything but gold. It's not corrosive. It's the best conductor of electricity. It's got elements in it that hold information.
So what happens when we run out?
Well, only 5% of the gold on the Earth has been extracted. We're not going to run out. Technology will allow us to find more and more gold as we need it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you think of the Earth and how much of it's covered by water.
Yeah.
That is all untapped.
So if you can say, when are all the oceans going to be explored? You can say, when is all the gold going to be found? Because that'll never happen.
Did you watch the latest Project Blue Book?
No, when was the last episode?
Damn, it was just on.
Oh,
I wanted to bring up a point, but I don't want to ruin it.
All right.
Speaking of the oceans.
Deep subject.
Well,
Big, wide subject.
you brought it up. So, do you believe that there are aliens living under the ocean?
They're called USOs, underwater submersible vehicles, USOs. Yes, I do. I believe that Columbus actually saw them. There's documentation of him seeing lights coming out of the ocean going into the sky. There's many, many, many reports of people seeing things going in and out of water. Oh, absolutely. That's the best place to hide. That's the best place when they come here, and they may be even getting minerals and energy from underneath. Absolutely.
You believe there's alien cities built under the oceans?
I do. I believe, and I'm going to blow your mind here. I believe that.
I like when he says that.
I believe that Antarctica was Atlantis, and I believe we're going to find, as the ice is melting, we're going to find that Plato was correct.
Did you know that they found a pyramid?
They found many pyramids, and the satellite imagery we're starting to use is showing structures. As the ice is melting, we're starting to find things. In fact, there was a map from, you may have to Google this, 853 or something. It was a map of Antarctica, and it showed the mountain ranges and the shorelines and the channels. Who created that map? Look it up. It's incredible. And so today we don't know how that happened, but as the ice is starting to melt, we're starting to find these mountain ranges and these inlets and these things that are appearing from this 1853 map. So I don't believe that Antarctica was like left over from the Ice Age. I believe that it was a technology that got out of hand that was destroyed that way. Because you can't, people say Atlantis is in the Caribbean and all this stuff. No, this place was ginormous. It was huge, and it had technology that we didn't need to know about. And it was buried and hidden by ice. There were 4 miles of ice? And now that we've gotten down to like a mile of ice, our satellites can see through like a half a mile or a mile of ice, and we're starting to find structures. I believe that Antarctica was the original Atlantis.
That's interesting, yeah.
I do. And you do your research, do your own research on it, just look it up. But it's very, very interesting what they are discovering today. The pyramids and the structures and the lines and the anomalies. And there were many years where our military, when we were based in Antarctica, after the Germans went there, they went there first. That was a treasure trove. They loved that place. Nobody knew why. But there were years when our military had bases in Antarctica, and their pilots were instructed no fly zones over many, 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 many places in Antarctica. And there's a reason for that. And so they keep that. We know, our people know that, but they're not going to tell us that for years. As the ice melts, they're going to start revealing this information.
Not going to have a choice at that
No,
point.
they don't. It's coming out on Google Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at the satellite pictures from 10, 20 years ago to what you're seeing now. There are structures evolving. There are pyramids evolving. There's a lot of things evolving, and I really do believe that was Atlantis, but it was hidden and destroyed for our own purpose, for our own protection. Well, let's do an Atlantis.
We could.
That's a great one, man.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
We could talk
So
about.
yeah, but it's all alien intervention, and Roswell's just another episode in time, just like Atlantis, just like the Egyptians, just like. And again, we're trying to suppress the information and keep it quiet because the human population is not ready for it. And like I said, I used to be an advocate. I want everyone to believe in aliens. And now I want no one to believe in aliens. Because it'll freak us out. You think the toilet paper is a problem?
But it's getting to a point now where we're not going to have a choice because there's so many more
History
sightings,
repeats itself.
technology's better.
It will happen. It's all, history repeats itself.
Yep.
It is going to happen.
Yep.
Whether we're alive or our children or their grandchildren, but it's a timeline, and it is going to happen. Because Roswell, 1947, and all that technology was not the first time that we've had technology on this planet. I mean, you have to be stupid to think that. I mean, look at Chichen Itza and all those those ruins, how they have the 100,000-pound boulders that were lifted into place with no. I mean, come on, seriously. We've had this technology before, and we've misused it, and we've been destroyed.
So Roswell just made it new to us again.
It could have been the beginning of a new thing that's going to take us to a place where that will happen again.
Right.
I don't know why we went 1,000 years with a wheel and fire. Nobody can tell me that. Anybody that says, oh, you're crazy, I don't believe in aliens, I don't believe in all that crap, tell me why we only had a light bulb and a wheel and fire before 1947, and I will believe you. Nobody can do that. Horse, buggy, wheel, fire, light bulb.
I think.
Yeah, we didn't get that from a weather balloon.
No. When was the first car? When was the Model T? When was that?
1940 or 20 is a Model A.
Model A.
I don't know. It may be in the late 1800s. The combustible engine happened way before Roswell.
Yeah.
But how did we get that information?
Right.
After having a wheel and fire.
Exactly.
You know, who taught us that?
I mean, when you think about the combustion engine, though, it's a simple
science.
It's a simple science,
Right.
though. You know,
That
you're just compressing
we
gas
figured
and igniting it.
Yeah.
And so it.
I mean, we
keeps
made
Spanish,
bullets
so
with gunpowder.
Yeah, but
I mean,
is there guys just sitting around figuring this shit out, or do they have something to go off? They actually have
I
something
believe
to-
he's like
you know
that.
what I mean?
I believe
I mean, you
he's
can
like
look at-
Tesla. He's like the other guy, the Indian guy that got that information. Said, I believe that people have received this information and properly distributed it and used it wisely. Like Thomas Edison was not just hanging out on his porch.
Yeah.
He had some insight.
Or there's people around that have smarts like them.
Very
I mean,
intelligent.
I think
They have gifts and they
my
don't even-
idea of the combustion engine, how someone could come up with that is they look at, a bullet flying out of a gun. How can I harness that energy? How can I contain that?
The
to use
Indians
it?
thought the cowboys were aliens because they had a mighty weapon that could shoot metal.
Right.
I mean, they were freaked out about it. Okay? Where did it come from? I don't think the Indians didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to invent gunpowder or a bullet or melted steel or molten steel. There are different areas around the world that have been given technology to advance as we need it. When it starts getting out of control,
That's when they hit the reset button.
there's a reset button. I'm going to bring up something real quick. This is just my theory. Do you notice how in China the people were every night protesting? Riots, flipping cars, burning, everything. Guess how they stopped it? COVID-19. Are there protests right now in China?
Oh, they're just hanging. Well, actually, they're getting
Nothing.
back to normal now, but
Right, they're back to normal, but they stopped the protest. I think they experimented with this biological bacterial weapon to stop them, and it kind of like
control.
we lost control of it. This COVID-19 was made in a beaker. They're saying it came from animals. Bullcrap. They said they were eating bats, and that's how they got it. No, this is a man-made petri dish virus. So it's going to take man to use a petri dish
To find a cure.
to find a cure. Okay? God didn't just like let it rain one day and COVID-19 was in the raindrops. We used our technology. They used it against their people. Their intentions were to do this, but again, we're not perfect. We screwed up. I mean, every 10 years there's or not 10 years, every year
Seems every year.
there is a epidemic or a pandemic.
Yeah. Well, anything that's living, which a virus is a living thing.
Yes.
But
you
when
know.
it's
You go to Jurassic Park, okay, and Jeff Goldblum's character, He says life will find a way. And I think viruses find a way. So I heard something that even COVID-19 is still evolved clear from like the Spanish flu. So they, clear back when they contained the Spanish flu, where there's still something that snuck out.
But I believe our scientists are still screwing that stuff,
probably,
which they shouldn't be doing.
Well, because they want to weaponize everything.
They're trying to extract DNA from a mosquito and a piece of amber and recreate a dinosaur and breed it with an alligator or an elephant. Don't do it.
Right.
And I think they were doing, and it got out of hand, and it went.
But viruses are very smart because they do evolve.
They learn.
We create a cure for it. They evolve past that cure.
Learn. Right.
And they develop into something different strain, different whatever it may be.
Yeah,
just like computers are gonna evolve and learn and take over.
But my question is, and do we have time for this? Yeah, we do. We've got plenty of time. I don't want to step over any of your questions.
Oh no, I don't.
We got Tim here. I'm on a roll, so here we go. So
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
This is again. I don't know if you noticed, but we joined a few conspiracy theory groups on
I did see that.
So
love it.
But and I legitimately had this question. My dad legitimately had this question. My dad's 77 years old. Why is this virus so different than anything else?
It's not. It's the media. It's the
but is
publication
it just the media though? Because we've now taken a step where we're shutting down states. We're destroying the economy. That seems to me a little bit more than a media-driven thing.
Between 2 and 3 years ago, 29 to 48,000 people died every year with the flu, influenza. What's the big deal?
I was sent a video of a train.
COVID-19 on the black.
300 tanks on it going through L.A.
with COVID-19 on it. That could be Photoshop. Don't believe everything you see on pictures.
It was sent from my brother, who lives in L.A.
And he took the picture?
It was shot from up on a mountain.
Okay. Who knows? There's stuff that we don't need to know. There's stuff we're never going to know. There's stuff that we're going to discover that we don't need to know. COVID-19, if you take COVID-19 and add up C, O, V, and you take C is a third letter from the alphabet, and then O is whatever, and you add all those up and then you hit 19, you add that with that, and it says 666. Okay?
You can do anything with math, though.
Right. But that does work.
Yeah.
And also, here, I'll tell you something funny. If you take COVID-19 and you dissect it, the word, it comes up to 2319, which is what they used in Monsters, Inc. We have a 2319.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
If you take the numbers and add them up and it goes 2319.
Yeah.
2319, and people are like going crazy, going, oh my God, this is,
That's funny.
You can make anything out of a conspiracy, but you know what? Conspiracies have to exist. I mean, they have to have some sort of basic truth, or we wouldn't have them.
Right. So I guess we should wrap it up. I want to come back full circle, kind of where we were at. So, our experience in Roswell was quite different than I'm sure it would have been if we would have went to Roswell back in the 1930s and 40s.
I would have loved that.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it wouldn't. Yeah, it would have been. It's better now.
You think it's better now?
Well, you didn't know anything back then.
Right.
You were just going into a barber shop and getting an ice cream cone. There was nothing to discover or.
But now you walk down Main Street and we saw it.
They're crazy.
Everything is aliens.
Everything is alien.
Whether if you're an insurance company, you have an alien for your logo.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
The Alien Inn, the Alien nail salon, the Alien taco shop, the Alien Alien everything, Alien auto repair.
So do you think that's a good thing, though? Do you think it took them because, okay, so we talked about as they started out, they were agriculture. That's what they started out with. And they went military because all the testing there, everything that came through there. So once that died out, once they moved everything to Area 51, Area 52, all those, different sites, do you think that they had to kind of reinvent themselves and cater to the tourism?
They had to
Desensitize?
Desensitize the public. So
Their
in
public.
order to do that, they had to make light of it.
Right.
And that's why they have that every year Alien Day, and everyone rides around in alien suits and everything. We're all sitting here going laughing, but deep down inside, we know why they know why they're there.
Right.
So yeah, they desensitize it in order to accept it, because otherwise it would be like all of a sudden waking up one day and saying, all right, I'm going to accept another religion. It just doesn't happen. Or it does happen, but it's too complicated for that to happen. So I think they make light of it and make fun of it to celebrate it and spread it properly. I think it's a good thing that it's made fun of and it's politicized and made light of. I think that's a good thing, because my grandpa, back 40 years ago, if you told him they were aliens, I mean, I heard the Russians are going to come over and rape the women and kill the men. If you had told my grandpa they were aliens 40 years ago, holy cow. What would have happened?
Right.
They weren't prepared for that. So the desensitizing
Yeah. Desensitizing.
of the people have led to a better outcome, without panic and without fear and without repercussion. So yeah, Roswell was a very, very good thing in hindsight. I mean,
We're still not
we
sure,
have
though, with
bulletproof vest
the
and
toilet
night
paper
vision,
disappearing
Right.
off shelves.
yeah, we got a lot of
What
technology.
they're
out of it.
really ready
And
for yet.
our lives are wonderful today because of Roswell. Bottom line. Otherwise, we'd be eating beans in a covered wagon, playing horseshoes,
And a banjo.
and a banjo, and a harmonica.
Yes.
I mean, thank God that happened, and thank God that we had the sense to regulate it and let it go out slowly, because it really could have gone bad. And I do believe it's going to go bad. Not right now, but if we misuse it, the technology, and if we don't suppress it and slowly leak it out over time, if we get it all right, it's going to blow up.
Please God, not right now. It's bad enough we don't have
please
toilet
God.
paper.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for
Absolutely, man.
joining us again. That
Always
was
a pleasure
that was
having
cool.
you.
I think we're all empty, aren't we?
We're all
I'm
empty,
empty.
right?
But yeah. So this has been the truth about beer and
Roswell then and now.
Look at that.
All right.
Johnny on the spot. I like that. Look at that. That is awesome.
wow. Well, let's all do the until next time together. So we have to do it together. So until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Social distancing.
Keep looking up. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome to the truth about beer.